Have you ever seen something so strange, so out of place, that it made the hairs on your arms stand up? Something that your mind just couldn't process. Tonight, we're diving into a phenomenon that has haunted the corners of the internet for years. A figure that seems to blur the line between a creepy story and a chilling reality. We're talking about the Smiling Man. You might have heard the original story. A tale of a late-night walker encountering a man with an unnervingly wide, cartoonish grin, dancing bizarrely down a deserted street. But what if I told you that story isn't just a one-off? That others, in different places, at different times, have seen him too. We've gathered 3 harrowing accounts from people who swear they've had their own encounter with this unsettling entity. These aren't just retelling. They are personal testimonies that will make you question what's really out there in the dark. So, turn down the lights. Our first story comes from a user named Nightowl2. 2. A college student who often pulled all-nighters. At T 24-hour campus library, one night, around 3 a.m., he decided to take a short walk to clear his head. The campus was eerily quiet, bathed in the orange glow of the streetlights. As he rounded a corner near the old arts building, he saw him, a tall, lanky man in a slightly disheveled suit, standing perfectly still under a flickering lamp. And he was smiling, not a friendly smile, but a huge, exaggerated grin that stretched his face in a way that looked wrong. Nightowl22 froze. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but he was the man didn't move a muscle, just stood there, smiling directly at him from across the quad. The silence was deafening. After what felt like an eternity, the man slowly, almost mechanically, began to tilt his head to the side, his grin never faltering. It was like watching a puppet with its strings being pulled by an unseen hand. That's when Nightowl22 finally broke his trance. He turned and sprinted back towards the library, not daring to look back. He said the most terrifying part wasn't just the smile. It was the complete lack of sound. No footsteps, no breathing, just absolute, heavy silence. And that horrifying, painted-on grin. He never walked alone on campus at night again. This next account is from a long-haul truck driver, we'll call Frank. Frank has driven just about every lonely highway in the country, and he's seen his fair share of weird things on the road late at night. But nothing prepared him for what he saw one foggy evening in rural Pennsylvania. He was on a deserted stretch of road. Visibility was low, and he was keeping his speed down. Suddenly, his headlights caught a figure on the shoulder of the road. It was a man, but he was moving in a way Frank had never seen before. He was dancing. Not a normal dance, but a strange, jerky waltz. Almost like he was gliding a few inches off the pavement. He was wearing an old-fashioned suit, and as Frank's truck got closer, the headlights fully illuminated his face. His eyes were wide, and his mouth was pulled into a massive, toothy smile. It looked like a mask, but as Frank passed, the man's head turned to follow the truck. His grin locked in place, reflecting the red of the taillights. Frank floored it. He looked in his rearview mirror, and for a terrifying second, he could still see the silhouette of the man, standing in the middle of the road, smiling into the fog long after the truck had passed. Now, for a final story. This one comes from a woman named Clara, who was living in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Her experience didn't happen on a deserted road or a lonely campus, but right outside her own home. One evening, she was washing dishes, looking out her kitchen window into her backyard. Her motion sensor's security lights suddenly flicked on. She expected to see a raccoon or a stray cat, but she saw a man standing by a fence. He was tall and thin, and he was just staring at her house. And, you guessed it, he had a smile that was unnaturally wide and fixed. Clara's heart jumped into her throat. She quickly shut off the kitchen light, hoping he hadn't seen her, and peeked through the blinds. He hadn't moved. He just stood there, smiling into the darkness towards her house. She called the police, her voice trembling as she described the man. While she was on the phone, she risked another look. He was gone. The police arrived minutes later and found no one. No footprints, no sign of entry. They told her it was probably just a prankster, but Clara knew it wasn't. The thing that haunts her the most is that for a brief moment, before she turned off the light, she felt like the man's smile widened, as if he knew she was watching, as if he was enjoying her fear. So, what is the smiling man? Is he a ghost, an urban legend come to life, or something else entirely? The consistency in these descriptions is what's truly unsettling. The tall, thin build, the often formal, if dated attire. And always that terrible, inhuman smile. These stories come from different people, in different places, with no connection to one another. Yet they all describe the same chilling figure. How many people have seen that smile in the dark and were too afraid to ever speak of it? It is a terrifying thought that some things in this world just do you and have a rational explanation. The smiling man seems to be one of them. He doesn't seem to want anything. He doesn't attack. He just appears, smiles, and instills a deep, unforgettable terror in those who see him. It's a psychological horror, a violation of what we perceive as normal human behavior. A smile is supposed to be welcoming, friendly, but he twists it into a symbol of pure dread. Thank you for joining us in the shadows tonight. If you have your own story you'd like to share, leave it in the comments below. You never know, your experience might just be the next one we feature. Stay safe, be aware of your surroundings, and whatever you do, if you see a man smiling at you in the dark, run to you and forget. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to The Silent Fear for more explorations into the unknown. We'll see you in the next one.